It is 10:01. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica. Former Titans wide receiver A.J. Brown met with the media on Monday in Philadelphia and was asked if he requested a trade from the Titans to the Eagles.
I'm going to try not to get into all that, but, I'm not going to look backwards, moving forward. And, like I said, I'm excited.
Brown was traded during the first round of the NFL draft for a first and a third-round pick. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Deandre Hopkins has been suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's PED policy. Hopkins said on social media he was, quote, confused and shocked by the suspension. The Stanley Cup playoffs are underway in the West. The LA Kings took Game 1 over the Oilers in a back-and-forth 4-3 win. The Blues routed the Minnesota Wild 4-0, and Tampa suffered a 5-0 rout at the hands of the Maple Leafs. Tonight, the Nashville Predators start their playoff run at the Colorado Avalanche for Game 1. Head coach John Hines said on Monday, goaltender UC Saros will miss the first 2 games of the series. Puck drop tonight for Game 1 is at 8:30. NBA Conference Semifinals, the Miami Heat took advantage of the 76ers missing Joel Embiid to win Game 1, 106-92. In the West, the Suns beat the Mavs in Game 1, and tonight, the Memphis Grizzlies host the Golden State Warriors down 1 game in the series. Tip-off at 8:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
All right, let's get it rolling on a Tuesday. Welcome in to 104.5 The Zone. Buck Reising here with you until 1 o'clock. Lucas Panzica is back there making this thing go. Your participation is welcome. 615-737-1045 is how you do that. 615-737-1045 is the number. There's a lot of exciting things on my show sheet today that Lucas so carefully crafts before we come on the air. But the one thing that is not on there, we'll hear from Titans players in the noon hour. Phase 2 officially underway. I'll tell you what exactly that means later on and who you might expect to see show up for this portion of the offseason. I know that has been the subject of much debate. But the one thing that I don't see, I see Preds playoffs beginning today. Alex Daugherty will be here later on. I see winners and losers of the sports weekend at 10:45. But what I do not see, but I guess this is lumped in with winners and losers, I do not see a segment sufficiently blocked off for the smoke that I have for 3HL today. I'm excited. Lucas, how do you feel about waging on-air war with our colleagues? How do you feel about that?
It depends on if it's justified. If it's justified, I'm all about it. But if it's waging war just to wage war, then I'm like, what are we doing here?
Well, and I appreciate you being measured in that way. But I think what kind of heat I am bringing to their doorstep from 3 to 6 this afternoon, I think you're going to want to be a part of this because you had some smoke for 3HL. Now, I'll get out there, and you use me as a meat shield. Anything that I say, any fights that I start with Dawn, you hide behind me if you don't feel like we can win the fight.
That's correct. I take no accountability whatsoever.
I feel that we can win this fight, and I want it.
We'll see in about 40 minutes.
10:45, be there. By the way, speaking of 3HL, why the hell is there a bottle of A1 sauce sitting in front of Dawn's seat?
For breakfast this morning, they ordered breakfast, and I guess they were using that on like a Western omelet or something. I don't know.
Nothing starts your morning off right like a mouthful of steak sauce. That must be your on-slay special. I love it. 615-737-1045. So, phase 2 in the NFL. We are in this progress now. And as I said, a collection of players will speak to us. We do not know for certain who is going to speak to us, but I will keep you updated as that comes along. I would imagine it has to be at least a couple players, probably 3 or 4. of significance as more guys start to filter into the facility. The question being, will the starting quarterback be among them? Now, I am on record, very much so, saying I don't give a damn, or I did not give a damn, about Ryan Tannehill not showing up for day one of voluntary off-season workouts, given what those consisted of. Now, if I'm a Titans fan, and for the sake of trying to get this thing to a place where it achieves at a higher level than they did last year, yeah, it's about time to show up to work. So phase 2, what does that mean? That consists of 4 hours a day over the course of the next 3 weeks. The same rules as phase 1 apply, which means 90-minute max on the field. You have limited strength and conditioning activities, dead ball drills, but all coaches are allowed on the field. So now Mike Vrabel can be out there. You've got individual drills that are allowed, which means you can refine the skill set of younger players who are just joining the team, of new players who have signed in free agency or come in as undrafted guys, and you can further refine the connection, the chemistry between the quarterback and a bunch of new toys that he has to figure it out with in short order. And players can also get involved with the weight room, the strength and conditioning staff, as we mentioned. No offense versus defense, no one-on-one, no helmet. So this is the kind of ramping up. Now, Mike Vrabel told us, I think this was on Friday, after the second and third rounds of the NFL draft, that he wished that they could spend the most possible time of the offseason in phase 2, because that's where you get to teach. That's where you get to coach. Mike Vrabel likes the instruction part of football, probably not as much as he likes the football itself, but still, he seems to really relish that opportunity. We've known for years since he got here, chest pad, working guys out at pro days, things of that nature. Mike likes to get in there and coach them up, which is great. Not a lot of NFL coaches are like him in that way, that will go through and drill players on an individual basis. If you're going to return to play for the Tennessee Titans, you got to go through the head coach first with the individual work that he does with him on, field 3, that hear no evil, see no evil. Field 3 does not exist. But will Ryan Tannehill be there today? I don't know the answer to that question. I will endeavor to find out for you over the course of the next 3 hours, or at least before we hear from them at noon. But the time has come for there to be heavy involvement from the quarterback. It's a much different circumstance than it was 2 weeks ago when the offseason began. 2 weeks ago, A.J. Brown's still on the roster. 2 weeks ago, there is not as much that you're allowed to do. 2 weeks ago, you could still work out outside of the facility, throw to guys as much as you want. If you want to fly Mason Kinsey down to South Florida and have a throwing session with him just so you can stay warm with a teammate, great. You can do all of that. Now you can be back in the building. So let's see what this thing's got. I don't care about how long it took Ryan Tannehill to wish AJ goodbye on social media, or how long it took Ryan Tannehill to welcome in his new teammates on the internet. I don't care about sponsored Celsius fishing social media posts. I don't care about any of that. What I care is the process that it's going to take for these guys to find the comfort level that Tannehill and A.J. Brown did so well to create over the course of the last 3 seasons. It may not look like that for quite some time. Ryan Tannehill may not have an extended opportunity, multiple seasons, to develop that. Kill or be killed professionally. This is the time where we find out. The reason why Ryan Tannehill and A.J. Brown have such a strong connection, do you know why that's the case, Lucas? Do you know why that got started so early? Go ahead, ask me.
Why, Buck?
Because that's who Ryan Tannehill was throwing to when he was the backup quarterback. That got started early. The reason Corey Davis and Ryan Tannehill didn't hit it off the way that we thought Marcus Mariota and Corey Davis were starting to grow together. It's because that was who was running first-team reps. Now, AJ got in there eventually. Obviously, you can't keep a talent like that off the field. It was preposterous that would be a lasting effect. But Ryan Tannehill, when he first got here, one of the primary players that he was throwing to was A.J. Brown because he's the backup quarterback. Get out there, get me reps. And by the way, that training camp was when the conversation started among the coaching staff as to, this guy might be better than the guy that we currently have starting. 615-737-1045. You can jump in on our conversation today. Let's start with Adrian in Columbia up first. Hello, Adrian.
What's up, Buck? How's it going?
It's going well.
Yes, sir, man. I just wanted to talk about the draft real quick. I just wanted to say, when the A.J. Brown trade did happen, I was one of the fans who was like, let's clear house. John Robinson has to go. But as I was sitting there thinking about it more and more, it's been a long time since we've had a good team and had depth players. And just looking back at it, the Patriots have done that plenty of times in the past where they've traded good players, drafted somebody to replace that player, and the ship just keeps moving along with no thing. And I just think that we just have to realize that we're at a point to where we're actually getting good players. Players are coming in. We're adding depth, and that's what happened with good teams. You can't keep everybody. I'm a person, I'd rather have Big Jeff than A.J. Brown any day if I had to choose. And I just think that's what it's coming down to. We're at a point to where we're deep. We have a lot of good players, and you can't keep everybody. And good teams got to make hard decisions sometimes, and I just think that was one of them. I just wanted to think what you think about that and just say have a good day, man, and thank you for your show.
Thanks for the call. Look at Adrian. He hit it on the spot. How many seconds, Lucas?
57.
57! That's a pro. That's setting the tone early, kids. 60 seconds so you get the Oscars music. A lot of people were reactionary about the AJ thing. And by the way, AJ had a press conference yesterday, his first with the Philadelphia media. You'll get to hear some of that later on in the show because there is some stuff that's relevant. And then we won't discuss that again until we have the schedule and until I find out when I'm going to Philadelphia to cover the Titans at the Eagles and a potential A.J. Brown revenge game, because that is the kind of spice that I'm here for. Your phone calls are welcome. I think that given the players that we're going to hear from today, there's a lot of opportunity, and this is no great insight, there's a lot of opportunity on the field this year. Treylon Burks, the opportunity that he is going to have to be an instant impact player on this team, we're going to discuss coming up next.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to springhillac.com.
Indeed. Many thanks to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling for making this show possible each and every day. We're grateful for them, and they'll provide great work for you. So, we're going to get into Treylon Burks in greater detail. We haven't done much of that, unfortunately, for us. And I'm very excited to talk about him because he's got a lot of potential as a prospect. But we just got a tweet, Lucas. The NFL officiating has put out their announcement of the newest game officials, replay officials, and replay assistants to the NFL. And the first name at the top of the list is Trey Boger.
Oh.
I don't know if we have who's the super jacked?
Jerome. Oh, you're not thinking of Jerome
No,
Boger.
the super jacked ref who has a kid who's a ref. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about, but I don't
this is
have
going to
the
drive
name.
me crazy. He was in the NFL forever.
So is this related to Jerome Boger?
I'm literally Googling it right now. If I had had time during the commercial to do that, I would have done that before we walked into this cold. But he's a former defensive back from the CFL. It is not clear as to whether he's a relation of Jerome Boger, but I think he's getting buried for it anyway.
Ed Hockley, who you're
Ed
thinking of.
Hockley, yes.
Yeah, thanks to T-Rod in the Twitch chat.
Just the super jacked ref who always overemphasized his calls to show off how incredibly tight his jersey was or his shirt was. Always spectacular. It's tough to be Ed Hockley's kid because you're not super jacked. You're just the smaller Hockley. Even if Trey Boger is not related to Jerome, you think he's coming in? You think he's coming into the NFL with some heat? Like, I think people are just going to see that last name and have a visceral reaction to it.
1,000%.
That's unfortunate for him.
Oh, we got a Boger today.
We got a Boger. See, look how triggered people are. As soon as I said his name, the phone lines light up. Mickey has just texted me Ed Hockley with a flexing emoji. It's tremendous. It's probably people just calling in to tell us that Ed Hockley was. You guys are always there for me. I appreciate that. Lucas is fielding all of the Ed Hockley calls right now. But yes, the NFL has just announced a collection of new game officials, new replay officials, and new replay assistants, so you guys know who to yell at when their calls do not go in favor of your favorite teams on Sundays. So, when it comes to Sundays and instant impact, that's the discussion that we were having, and we'll get into it a little more regarding the stuff around AJ's press conference yesterday. But what is going to be expected of Treylon Burks right out the gate is this guy needs to play, and he needs to be larger than life. Now, he can find ways to work himself into their offensive game plan, and I would expect to see a lot of Nick Westbrook-Akina early on because of what they value him for. He understands all three positions that wide receivers need to play within their offense. So just for comfort level, you're going to see a lot of NWI because that's the top returning target at this point. Robert Woods, I have no idea when he'll be ready, but there is going to be an intense amount of pressure on him, scrutiny on him, publicly anyway, not privately, although, it is the job of the coach to be like, hey, can you go on Sunday? That's always going to be a part of the coach-player dynamic. But for Treylon Burks, man, this guy's got to come in hot out the gate. Otherwise, people are going to get antsy. Now, completely unfair, completely unfounded, and it's not quite as intense here because I think most people understand the situation that Treylon Burks was walking into. But when we talked to him over the course of the last couple of days over the weekend and just kind of got his perspective on stuff, there's a lot to be excited about him within this offense, just based on what you saw at Arkansas. How many different ways that he was deployed. In fact, we asked Treylon Burks about this on Friday, how much of an asset that was for him that they found ways to get him the ball all over the field.
I would just say it was just they did a really good job of putting me in different positions to get me the ball and just to let me go out and show what I can really do with the ball in my hand, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, he should be. Do you know who the OC is at Arkansas? You probably do.
Yeah, Kendall Briles.
Yeah, Kendall Briles did a great job. That Arkansas is going to be a sneaky fun watch once college football gets around. And by the way, I mean, we have not spent much time on college football leading up to this week, but like, have you seen Rome is burning in college football again? Matt Berry with in fact, I think Matt Berry is going to be my dumbest thing in sports.
Rome's been burning, but
what, are you just numb to it now?
yeah.
Just let it wash over you. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, college football has been aflame for quite a while now. We're just all noticing it now.
There will be time for that later on. But as you look at Treylon Burks, Daniel Jeremiah and the draft panel on the NFL Network gave great analysis of how he fits within this system. Now, obviously, there was a lot of shock and awe around that, so they're reacting to it live on television because A.J. Brown has just been traded to Philadelphia. Dadson Worldwide says Burks has always been a Titans fan consensus. It was needed with A.J. and Woods. This is a great asset for you to have. It's just now the premise has changed a little bit. It's bonus if you can put him on an offense with A.J. Brown and Robert Woods and Austin Hooper and now Chig Okonkwo, the tight end, and Derrick Henry, and everybody feels much, much better about this offense taking a step forward instead of, okay, got a new learning curve, even though there's turnover in the NFL each and every year. For Treylon Burks, he is a very, very high-level prospect, and it will be incumbent upon him, just like quarterback, right? Geography matters so much for this guy because you can get creative with him. Now, what's the biggest indictment of the Titans coaching staff coming off the last season? Can anybody tell me?
Offense? Just gesturing wildly.
Just all of it? Everything.
I mean, it's offensive play calling. I don't know if that's the direction you're going, but I feel like that's the answer.
That it is.
Okay.
You want to give yourself the bell? Make yourself feel better about it? Bravo.
That did feel good.
I'm telling you, it's Pavlov's dog, right? You put the food, you start drooling, like slaying the steak sauce that's sitting in the studio in here.
Apparently, it's steak sauce on eggs that Slay has made a thing.
That's probably not bad. Anyway, Treylon Burks, offensive identity, offensive creativity. We know that the Titans have an offensive identity. What we need to see, not that they can't, and they have shown some offensive creativity. I don't want to completely and totally dismiss everything that Todd Downing did last year because I think it would surprise people to know that the Tennessee Titans were a top 10 red zone offense last year. Derrick Henry helps for half the season, make no mistake, but still, top 10 red zone offense. They're better than Minnesota, Kansas City, Arizona, the Rams. I mean, by a substantial margin. So
it's not terribly shocking.
That they're
to me. I mean, Todd Downing was a big part of the red zone offensive play calling in 2020, right? Where they were one of the best red zone offenses in the league.
Correct. So I think this is my point. People judge Todd Downing as a failure because 16 points in a playoff game. And yeah, I mean, that is a organizational failure. Todd Downing has a role to play in that, of course, but organizationally, that's a bust. They were top 11, not top 10, but they were behind Green Bay and Dallas as far as third down conversion percentage So they were moving the ball. They were able to convert on a regular basis. This was not a bad offense last year, even if at times it felt kind of gross because instead of Derrick Henry, it's Deontay Foreman. And instead of 60, 70-yard touchdowns, Dontrell Hilliard gets caught from behind. And there's turnovers all over the place. And so you can have all the third downs and you can thrive in the red zone when you get in the red zone, but you got to hang on to the damn football.
It was in their worst moments, it was the cliche of when it rains, it pours. A lot of that was also due to injury, but also due to play calling.
Snowball. Turnovers, not by one or two, but by 4 or 5, right? Like they would that when they blew the turnover margin, they blew it big. And in moments where it was fairly unthinkable for them to do that, but that's the drama of the NFL. That's why we watch, because sports will make you sick and then keep you coming back for more. That's how they keep us on the hook. So how Todd Downing and, by conjunction, Tim Kelly operate with Treylon Burks in the passing game. Rob Moore is going to be critical to this guy's development. Rob Moore was critical for A.J. Brown's development. We don't talk about position coaches nearly enough. In fact, we probably should. That honestly, on a weekly basis, those are the most valuable conversations I think that we have, because the players don't want to say anything to us. Mike is there to, play with his food more often than not, even though he does it, with great frequency, speak to the media. But like the position coaches, if you show them that you are invested in trying to learn what it is that they do, then they will put forth the effort to tell you, yeah, this is how we go about things, or kind of give you some insights on the details that make an NFL play or a technique function at the pro level. We don't talk nearly enough about the position coaches, and we're about to spend a great deal doing so because you've got Keith Carter, offensive line coach, Nicholas Petit-Frere, and Dylan Radins are going to have to make substantial efforts, jumps in both a rookie season and as a second-year player. Traylon Burks and Kyle Phillips, rookie wide receivers. Now, I think that they'll benefit a great deal in that position group, regardless of whether he's on the field right away or not, from the presence of Robert Woods. For the same reason that Cooper Kupp is putting out, a statement longer. I didn't hear Cooper Kupp talk at that length about the Super Bowl the way that he talked about Robert Woods. I've cited the article in The Athletic after Robert Woods was traded away from the Los Angeles Rams that the Rams beat writer Jordan Rodriguez did about the massive ripple effect, shockwave even, that it was going to send through their organization because of how cornerstone a piece Robert Woods is. I think for a developmental situation, even if one prospect is a first-round pick and the other one's a fifth-round pick, you want a guy like Robert Woods in your room. The wide receiver room has lacked that kind of leadership. AJ is alpha. AJ Brown, alpha mentality. And I think people may contest that notion, armed with the social media behavior and asking for a trade and things like that.
On the field. Alpha, right? A.J. Brown, rookie year, Kansas City Chiefs game that they ended up winning by just a nose hair. A.J. Brown, after Taylor Lewan, this was during the stretch of Taylor Lewan penalties in 2019, A.J. Brown getting in Lewan's face as a rookie and letting everybody on the field know, hey, this is the real deal. Robert Woods, as a leader, veteran, competitive presence on the field, but helping to bring young guys along in a way that is fundamentally sound off the field, the way that AJ or Corey, they weren't here long enough to do. And those being two of the more veteran players that the Tennessee Titans have had in the wide receiver room since Adam Humphries. And again, his presence on the field was lacking for health reasons. Robert Woods, when he met with the media a couple of months, maybe a month and a half ago at this point, he talked about why it is that he was comfortable being traded to this organization, because it sounds like the Rams gave him some say. And this is what he had to say.
You want to be in an organization who's obviously kind of like solidified, solid, not much movement around. This team has been in playoffs, been consistent for many years. So I wanted to join something that was firm and solid and be able to add my game to it. And obviously, you want to be a part of a winning culture. You want to be a part with guys who try hard and bust their butt for their teammates. Talk to Roger Saffold as well, and really just was trying to get my intake on the locker room and guys. And they told me this was the right organization. Even getting the feel on Byard and Simmons up front.
So that's Robert Woods meeting with the media for the first time since he was traded to the Tennessee Titans. And you feel pretty good about the two rookie wide receivers and the undrafted guys. We haven't really talked about the undrafted additions that they had. There's one wide receiver in particular that they added at a SMU, Reggie Roberson, who I do like as a prospect. And will be, everybody falls in love with a training camp prospect, and they inevitably don't make the roster. But practice squads are a thing, so keep that in mind. But as far as Traylon Burks and what they need from him, I am curious to see how soon he can pick up the playbook, where he needs to develop as a player. And we kind of talked with him a little bit about that, but as you could hear from his from the earlier audio that we played you, He's not terribly expansive. Lucas, did you hear the interview that he did with 3HL?
Burks?
Yeah.
I caught a good portion of it on my drive down to Huntsville on Friday.
It's available via podcast. If you guys haven't, it's worth checking out because that's something that they do really well. Whereas I'm going to ask him a bunch of football questions. 3HL loosen him up a little bit, and it helps. Slay helps relax a lot of people.
They're in the boom boom room. Talk about boar hunting.
Yeah, which is half the press conference, which is an annoyance to me, but whatever.
It is a crazy thing that he does. When you hear him describe the process, it is insane.
You know that he won't fear the linebacker over the middle when he's running at a boar with a knife and a dog.
Nothing but a knife and a dog. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, it is. I mean, we talk about how insane football players are, but like that's what he's doing for fun.
Yeah, like this is you always see these traits and hobbies from draft prospects that they always use to make the prospects more interesting in coverage. This is at the top of the list for me. It's hard for me to think of a more interesting hobby from a draft prospect in recent years than boar hunting with a knife. Like 450-pound wild boars.
He went viral at the combine for this for his love of hog hunting. I'm sure that's what you do in small town Arkansas.
Yeah, Roger McCreary went viral for eating baked beans before football games. Traylon Burks went viral for killing boars.
It's well, you could debate the dangers of either of those. I
Sure.
can't imagine a heavy diet of baked. I imagine he's
equally diabolical.
I imagine he's quite regular with the frequency of the eating of baked beans. But outside of that, I don't know if that's a scary. Like you say to me, hey, you want to do something fun this weekend? Sure. What you got? I'm going to give you a knife, a dog, and take you out into the wilderness in rural Arkansas. And you're going to try and stab this thing in the face before it stabs you. What? I don't want to do anything like that. I'm sure there's plenty of people in the audience who hunt that probably think me soft that way. Have you ever been hunting?
I have not, actually.
I went with my stepdad one time. He used to deer hunt, duck hunt, whatever. And in fact, he has also, my stepdad killed a boar. The head of this thing is mounted in the basement at the family residence in Evansville, Indiana. So he's done all of these things. He tried to take me out deer hunting one time. I was pissed because you get woken up at like 3 a.m. for things like that. Again, I'm sure I'm not telling anybody in the audience who hunts anything that they don't know. But you go out, somewhere BFE with some person who's either there to guide you or give you a gun and cover you in deer urine or whatever spray you need to put on. I'd never been in a deer stand before, and he'd got me one from like Walmart that it's 2 parts. You have to hook the top of the deer stand, the seat of the deer stand, into the tree. Pull yourself up with the bottom of it attached to your feet and like climb the tree that way. I'm not built for climbing trees. I got to tell you that right out the gate. We were out there for 4 hours, it felt like. I didn't see anything but a squirrel that kept freaking me out because I'm sitting up in a tree with a shotgun in a seat that I'm not quite certain is any kind of stable. If you hunt for enjoyment, good on you. But the charms of it are certainly lost on me. Lonzo says Buck is soft. Hell yes. I'm very happy to be. I don't want to run at a boar with a knife. I don't want to sit in a tree with a shotgun waiting for a deer or a 22 or whatever it was. I don't know. I shouldn't be handling loaded firearms anyway. 615-737-1045. You're not going to want to miss what I've got coming up next. I've got all kinds of heat for 3HL. Winners and losers of the sports weekend is what we are going to do. Your involvement is, of course, welcome. 615-737-1045 is the number. I'm going to tell you why 3HL are the losers of the weekend. Coming up next. All right. Winners and losers of the sports weekend. I'll be honest with you, Lucas. I needed something a little more hype. I know you're busy back there. But we're about to start a fight. We're about to start a fight. We need proper music. We need ourselves war ready because we're taking on the big bad 3HL. Now, we're only taking on 2/3 of it, I think. You don't have any heat for Brent, do you?
No.
No. Brent's just there to stir it up. Brent's there to make sure that Dawn comes after us. And then, very, very slickly slides back into the background and just laughs and giggles and keeps it moving. So winners and losers of the sports weekend is what we're going to do. We do it every Tuesday at 10:45. Open up the circus tent. Who won, who lost, who helped themselves this weekend, who fell flat on their face. That is the custom. It's a very simple game. Winners and losers of the sports weekend that we do each and every week. Let me start with Inside the NBA as my winner of the sports weekend. Now, not only, we would say, is there consensus on this being the best sports studio show?
Absolutely.
Better than College Game Day.
People that don't watch the NBA enjoy Inside the NBA. Can you name any other sports in-studio pregame or postgame show that can say that?
I don't think, in studio, College Game Day is obviously not in studio. I think it is considered a studio show, but we don't have to get bogged down.
If you don't like college football, you're probably not watching College Game Day.
Yes, that is an accurate assessment, although that may sound like a foreign concept to our audience. So, Inside the NBA, Charles Barkley, Shaq, you've got Kenny Smith and Ernie Johnson up there having a ball every night. There is NBA games on TNT. So they're in the middle of they're in the post game last night, I believe, and they are giving Charles Barkley a cooler. He's gonna go on a fishing trip, and he's scared to open the cooler at first because they like to play jokes on each other, on-set jokes on each other on Inside the NBA, outside of just making Kevin Durant bus rider office gifts that are exceptional by their production staff. So they give Charles Barkley this cooler yesterday, and I want you to hear what Charles pulls out of the cooler.
Hurry up, man. Everything's one of your favorites. Hurry up. Nothing is bouncing out of there. Oh, okay. Look what you got in there. Twinkies. Hey, Twinkies. But what else is in there? Oh! Your favorite. It just happens to be your brand of Red Montauk. I love it. And what else? Hold it. You got Twinkies, and what else is in there? You got ping pong paddles. Why? What do you need ping pong paddles for? Ping pong, fool. Oh, okay.
That is the sound of thousands of ping pong balls dropping on Charles Barkley's head from above the set as he pulls out the ping pong battles.
What do you need ping pong paddles for? Ping pong, fool.
The ping pong and fool, Charles Barkley, getting it dropped on his head. I love it's just the best. Nobody has more. We have fun, I think, you and I, Lucas, depending on the day. I think we have fun as a show. Nobody has more fun than those guys.
Yeah, I know they're prepared. I know Ernie's prepared, but it gives the vibe that they just walk into the studio and just do their thing.
I know for a fact that is what happens. You're not going to get Shaq, Kenny, and Charles to show up for production meetings 4 hours before air.
Yeah, Shaq between business meetings and DJ sets.
He did one at 5th and Broad the other day. I should have gone.
My winner of the weekend, special teamers over the course of the NFL draft. In the third round, kicker Cade York, drafted by Cleveland. 2 punters taken between pick 124 and 133, and neither of those were the punt god. Matt Araiza, I saying that Araiza falls to the 6th round, picked by the Bills at 180. Best value of the draft? Many people are saying this. Also, congratulations to Daniel Whalen and James McCourt. Whalen, a punter, an undrafted free agent signing by the Saints. McCourt, a kicker, UDFA signing by the Chargers. Both have the opportunity to be the first Irish-born players to suit up in the NFL in several decades.
So, loser of the sports weekend. I have 3HL. 2/3 of 3HL on my list. Lucas and I went to Nashville SC's season opener. And Lucas, you were telling me before you even saw a tweet from Dawn or Slay that you feared what 3HL would say about a 1-1 draw in the opener against the Philadelphia Union. Yes, you thought this was you were terrified. This is a tribute to 3HL because clearly they have this much influence in your sports lives that you would fear that they would dissuade people from thinking that Nashville SC put on a good show on Sunday.
Yes, I did not want a draw for that reason. Specifically, I did not want a scoreless draw. I do think that would have been the worst case scenario to not have any goals with the stage that was set, but it ended up being 1-1.
I agree. Here is the Ron Slay tweet that happened moments after Lucas expressed his concern that 3HL was going to rip a 1-1 draw. Opening day for Nashville SC, and it ends in a tie. I had someone tell me I should be commenting on this. Can someone tell me how I should feel about this tie? Am I happy, sad, indifferent? Or do I feel like I did in the beginning? It's still no winner or loser. Hashtag help me. Slay! If you watch that soccer game, you know that was a competitive game against a really, really good team. I am past the point of my I don't know if it's an American thing. I don't know if it's a non-soccer fan thing. I am a soccer fan now. I'm a season ticket holder for Nashville SC. But point being, that was high drama in the first opener of that game. We had Dawn Davenport sending you and I nasty messages yesterday. We will not disclose what Dawn sent us because that would betray her on-air pureness that she tries to portray when we all know what Dawn is saying about us in the background. Just propping up this air of purity to a degree. No. I'm on to you, Dawn. I know. And she had opinions. She had passionate opinions that she sent to me and Lucas via group text about the 1-1 draw. A bunch of emojis were involved.
Yeah,
we'll leave those out.
Not the club, right? Not the team, but just the concept of a draw
about
in general.
Soccer.
Yes.
About the sport. About the result of a game that was played. Dawn is already texting us, and now I'm scared to look at my phone. It's too late. It's too late. We're already in this. But here's why they are truly, the two of them, the losers of the sports weekend. Because I hold here in my hand.
Oh, what's this?
A trophy. For those of you watching on Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. It is a trophy from 104.5 The Zone's Golf Classic. It was displayed proudly, closest to Slay, but close to Slay and Dawn, closer than it was to Brent, with our studio set up in here. Lucas, is this a first-place trophy that I hold in my hand?
Well, given that there's a trophy in the studio, surely I would imagine it's because they won something, right?
We do not celebrate participation trophies on this station, do we?
Not as far as I'm told.
Surely not. Surely not. And yet, 104.5 The Zone's Golf Classic second place trophy is what resides in the studio, placed here by two members of the 104.5 The Zone team that made second place. They lost. It was apparently great competition out there. But nonetheless, a participation trophy displayed by the show, who I know 2/3 of them are hugely dismissive of the idea of participation trophies, 1-1 draws, or otherwise. Frauds, I say. Absolute fraud. Losers of the sports weekend, Dawn and Slay.
Anti-participation trophy culture people that complain about ties are telling on themselves. What is more participation trophy like than a game ending in a draw and saying, no, somebody has to win?
I think Ron Slay in the YouTube chat says, Lucas, be careful. Zach Lyons also, who has apparently an award-winning podcast, or so he'll tell anybody that asks him.
Yeah.
Or people that don't ask him. He'll just tell you like he's doing in the YouTube chat. Buck is just mad. He has 0 awards even after several nominations. In fact, I'm a Nashville Scene Best Podcast Radio Show Host winner at some point. I know I won that at some point. But regardless, no participation trophies. And yet I will keep this in front of me as my prize to declare that 3HL believes in participation trophies.
At the end of the 90 minutes, both teams had equal opportunity, and they ended in a 1-1 draw. Nobody deserved to win, so I can't imagine anything that is more opposite a participation trophy than that.
We are getting vigorously peppered by the members of 3HL via text right now. It's too bad. You can't do anything about it.
Don says you guys are dead on with the second place trophy.
I'm going.
Okay. My loser of the weekend, People on Twitter, @People, for tweeting Reese Witherspoon roots for Tennessee Titans soccer team with husband Jim Toth and sons.
Wait, be more specific. Not People.
The
People
magazine. Right. The Twitter for People magazine for saying Reese Witherspoon was at the Tennessee Titans soccer team.
Yes, indeed.
To which Nashville SC tweeted out a picture of the Titans Fireball logo with an NSC logo in the middle of it.
It's pretty good. If you're going to screw up big. I'm sure. Did they delete the tweet?
No, they have not deleted the tweet.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, they don't care. They're like, oh, look at these little pissant sports fans who are not going to be the ones that click on Reese Witherspoon doing anything, anywhere, at any time. Winners and losers of the sports weekend. I feel good. Do you feel good about the fight that we've started?
I do feel good. I feel good. I feel like we're justified in this.
I haven't looked at my phone yet. You've looked at the texts?
I have, yes. It's very entertaining right now.
Slay is multitasking, peppering us because he's commenting on YouTube while texting us at the same time.
Yeah, Slay's fired up. I think he's coming at us today.
And Dawn has independently texted us, which means that she is saying things that are nasty and not to be said in public.
I think they're fired up because they know we are correct. All of our reasoning here is completely in line.
You cannot defend the participation trophy. It cannot be done.
Sometimes no one deserves to win.
Preds are in the playoffs. They get started tonight against the Colorado Avalanche. Our buddy Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports is going to be in studio to break it down. It's all coming up next.
It is 11:02. Good morning. I'm Lucas Panzica. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Deandre Hopkins has been suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's PED policy. Hopkins said on social media he was, quote, confused and shocked by the suspension, but he will make his 2022 season debut in Week 7 for the Cardinals. Stanley Cup playoffs are underway in the West. The LA Kings took Game 1 over the Oilers in a back-and-forth 4-3 win. The Blues routed the Minnesota Wild 4-0, and Tampa suffering a 5-0 rout at the hands of the Maple Leafs. A few blowouts on night 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Tonight, the Nashville Predators start their playoff run at the Colorado Avalanche, the 1 seed in the West, for Game 1. Head coach John Hines said on Monday, goaltender UC Saros will miss the first 2 games of the series. Puck drop tonight for Game 1 is 8:30. NBA Conference Semifinals, the Miami Heat taking advantage of no Joel Embiid for the Sixers last night, winning Game 1 106-92. In the West, the Suns beat the Mavs, taking Game 1, and tonight, the Memphis Grizzlies host the Golden State Warriors after losing Game 1 at home last weekend. Tip-off tonight at 8:30. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
We are off and rolling, hour number 2 on this Tuesday. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. I'm Buck Reising. I'm here with you until 1 o'clock. Lucas Panzica is making this whole thing go, and we'll do so until we are off the air today. Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports, our great Preds writer, will join us in the studio momentarily because we got playoff hockey, not in Nashville, but Nashville in Colorado. Puck drop at 8:30 p.m. tonight. I'm fired up, even if I think they're dead in the water. Is that, can I be both things today?
Stranger things have happened.
I feel like I can. I feel like I'm allowed to think that they're doomed without UC Saros, but can also still enjoy postseason hockey a great deal. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. 615-737-1045. You can jump in on the playoff excitement as well. So, the last time that these two clubs played in the postseason, this was when the Preds were the number 1 seed. This was the President's Cup or President's Trophy winning season. This was 2018, right after the Stanley Cup run.
Very similar circumstances.
The Avalanche, well, it's just role reversal.
Roles were flipped.
Avalanche squeaked in that year. For the Preds, they were the dominant thing. The Preds took it, up until 3 games left in the season to clinch, and not even by their own hand. They needed some help from the Las Vegas Knights to get in the postseason, or a loss by the Las Vegas Knights to get in the postseason. So now you're looking at the Preds as the second of the 2 conference wild cards against one of the best teams in the sport, top of the Western Conference in the Colorado Avalanche. And the questions about the viability of the Preds are, of course, UC Saros. Alex, who will join us momentarily, reported, I think it was last week, right, that UC Saros had a high ankle sprain and was going to miss some amount of time. Now, I don't do timelines anymore because Mike Vrabel has basically beaten it out of me over the course of the last 4 years. But Alex, in that write-up, in that reporting, included typically looks like a month, 6 weeks type of time frame with that specific injury at that position. Non-contact when he left, and then we have not seen him since. John Hines has ruled him out for Game 1 tonight in Colorado. The Avalanche currently have a 92% chance to win this series. 92. Those are pretty good odds.
It's a team you wanted to avoid.
You're fine. Well, and that's why the way that they finished the regular season, outside of just UC and his absence, you don't feel great about it because they had opportunities. They had blown leads all over the place. You had disasters of all manner against a team like Calgary in the game that UC was hurt with David Riddick in goal, allowing a goal in overtime, 10th of a second left on the board. It was everything that could go wrong did. Now, does that mean that strange things can't happen in hockey and all of a sudden one of the best teams in the sports look mortal and the Preds capitalize? Potentially. We know they've got the power play success to do that. We've seen them, that was their weakest spot for the longest, for years, going on years. That's no longer the case. You're looking at high-level, efficient goal scorers, two of them in particular, in Forsberg and Matt Duchene, who are going to have to step their game up. And then how you feel, because it's going to be Riddick and goal tonight, right?
We don't know who the starter is.
We don't know. That's not been confirmed?
No, it's either Riddick or Ingram.
Okay, so what do we know about Ingram? Because I know that they called him up because of the injury. I know precious little about him outside of that.
Yeah, rough day in Arizona. You go up 4-0. You give up 5 straight goals to lose and miss the opportunity to play Calgary instead of Colorado. Though worth noting, the circumstances were almost identical in 2017. Going into the postseason, the Preds blew their opportunity to clinch the first wildcard spot in the West and ended up sneaking in with the second. And it was, they missed their opportunity to avoid the 1-seed Chicago Blackhawks in the playoffs. What happened? They swept them. Obviously, Pekka Rinne was playing some of the best hockey of his career. He followed that up with a Vezina Trophy winning season the year after that. This is not the case here, where UC Saros, who we know can steal games away from superior opponents, is not there for at least the first 2 games. So that changes the conversation. But the circumstances are eerily similar to that 2017 regular season finish.
Now, Colorado, and I was reading the write-up on The Athletic today, they do good work with cross-writer analysis in their pregame coverage for The Athletic, and I don't know the Peter Baugh is the guy who covers the Avalanche for The Athletic in Colorado. And he has a write-up on what weaknesses can be exploited with the Avalanche. Apparently I can't say that I watched a ton of their games outside of the Preds game in their second to last game of the regular season. And obviously some of the Preds games throughout the course of the season. Apparently some defensive holes have manifested in the last couple of weeks for Colorado as the number 1 seed, but I don't know how those things are going to be able to capitalize if you can't stop anybody.
Yeah, the Preds are going to have to take advantage of the power play. 5th best power play in the regular season this year. The Avs had the 6th. Preds have had their defensive issues too, but if they can take advantage of those defensive mistakes from the Avs, create some odd man rushes, and capitalize on power play opportunities, maybe they can steal 1 game without UC Saros, but probably nothing more than that.
615-737-1045 is how you jump in on the conversation. What do you think the Preds are capable of in this postseason? Do you think, I guess probably the best way to ask this question is how many games do you think it's going to go? Because I could see a scenario where just given the instability at, I don't know that it's the most important position, but it matters a great deal.
Goaltender?
Yeah.
Yeah, most important position.
Indisputably.
I would say so.
Okay. I would say that I don't know that it's a sweep. I think that they're offensively capable of getting one over on a team like Colorado, but I don't know that they win more than 1 game. If this is to continue for an entire series, they can't go multiple weeks without UC. They can't. And that's no indictment of everything that they've done this season. It's no indictment of the records that they've been able to break. Forsberg will certainly be a wealthier man for this season and all, and you feel much better about Matt Duchene's situation after seeing what he's capable of at a high level. It's just poor injury time. Sometimes that's enough to damn you. In any team, right? Injuries matter. It's in the NFL, there's a much smaller sample size, but it's usually the team that's healthiest limping across the finish line. Patrick Mahomes can only do so much if he's vertical or if he's horizontal for half the game. So, as far as the Preds go, I'm going to watch. I'm going to be invested. I'm going to hope that they win because playoff success and hosting home playoff games, regardless of what round it's in, it gives a good energy and a good vibe to sports fans in the city and just generally for the city. Everybody enjoys playoff hockey. But as far as their viability is concerned, I don't think so.
Well, an encouraging update from John Hines to say he'll miss 2 games. He didn't give a definitive Game 3 return, but that still came as a surprise to me where you had Alex Daugherty, who we're about to have in here on Friday, saying 4 to 6 weeks with the high ankle sprain. missing 2 games in this series means being back this weekend.
Yeah,
So I'm interested to see what
Alex's
happens.
time span did not account for the amount of Toradol they're going to pump him full of.
That's a good point.
Yeah, allegedly. 615-737-1045. Chuck is in Clarksville up next. Hello, Chuck.
Hey, Buck and Lucas. My winners and losers for the weekend, the loser has to be the guy with the handball from Philadelphia in the FC game. And then my winner is Ben Joyce of UT for throwing a 105.5 mile-an-hour fastball. I used to umpire baseball, and it's not so much the look of that pitch because it looks like a P, but it's the sound of that pitch that really gets you. And I'm telling you, 105.5 miles an hour is unbelievably fast.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. We haven't talked about that. We tried to get Tony Vitello on this week. Tony's busy. Completely understandable. But yeah, Ben Joyce over the weekend. He already has 104 on his resume. But to do what he did, 105.5, the fastest ever recorded pitch in college baseball. He broke his own record that he set a couple of months ago, last month, or 2 months ago, I guess, in March against South Carolina. They played how many games in the they beat Auburn 2-1 in that series, right?
Yes, last weekend.
I just wanted to double check.
Lost game 2.
Yeah, because I saw some Auburn sports fans celebrating on social media that they didn't get swept by UT, and UT's not swept Auburn since whatever or at any point in their history, whatever.
Another thing this team has managed to do is create animosity with like every media member that covers the team they play over the weekend. I don't know how.
Well, because baseball writers are the worst.
But a lot of those writers aren't baseball writers, right? They just cover that school. They cover football. They cover basketball. And they cover the baseball team, especially if it's a relevant baseball team, which Auburn very much is.
There's a higher percentage of curmudgeons in the sports writer industry than in any other industry, I'm convinced. In the media industry. I'm 28 years old. You'd think I'm 75 for some of my opinions about these things, right? Cynics, skeptics, curmudgeons. So it's no shock to me that people in covering college sports don't like the antics of the UT baseball team. When, of course, if you're rooting for them, you think they're great fun. And if you're playing against them, you hate them, and also because they beat your ass. Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports, their Preds writer, going to be in studio with us. A lot more to discuss, and we'll break down the series. Game 1 against Colorado tonight, 8:30 p.m. puck drop. Alex will be here coming up next.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by SpringHillAC.com. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
All right, Alex Daugherty is here. We got playoff hockey on the television tonight, 8:30 puck drop. Preds and Avalanche. How do you feel about the 8:30 puck drop? Just in principle. I love it. Lucas, turn his microphone on.
Yet again.
It's tradition.
It's censored.
Don't mess with tradition on this show.
Okay, do we need to, establish rules? Do we need to have things as a show so regimented? This is not Alex's fault. This is our fault.
Oh, I'm sure it's my fault.
No. I think this is a recurring enough theme with more people than just you.
Okay.
Like the 60-second Oscars music, when the calls exceed 60 seconds and we play people off, do we need to establish ground rules as to who will turn the microphone on and off with everybody who comes in studio with us?
I think it's like an initiation thing. The first time you speak on this show, you're not allowed to be heard. Just for the first few seconds.
That doesn't help me.
Until I have time to remember to turn the mic on.
That doesn't help me. Thank you for all of your great works back there. Hello.
What I was going to say is I actually prefer the later puck drop. Obviously a road game doesn't matter. I mean, you get what you get. The home game, late puck drops for home games.
Why?
I prefer them. I prefer them because, number one, you get a little bit of a better home crowd. If you get that 7 o'clock start,
okay,
it's a little bit late arriving. You don't get the full volume at the beginning of the game.
No, you want more drunks.
Exactly. You give people time to get downtown, give them time to go to the bars before the game, and then you get them in the seats at 8:30. They are really ready to go by that time. So I prefer them. Obviously, it means you stay up later and you get a lot less sleep. But it's not bad. I'd prefer. I'm a night owl anyways. I stay up late every night. So.
All right. Well, so far be it from me to voice that complaint, but
I don't have to get up as early as some of the radio folks around here. So.
No, I don't know how the two in front of me do it, and I guess the three in front of me do it in the morning. It's nightmare. Morning radio. I can already see it aging Ramon and Jason anyway. Jason was already a bit gray coming in. I think the grays are multiplying on a regular basis. It's like when they put Stephen A. Smith next to Max Kellerman, and Stephen A.'s heat sucked the life out of Max Kellerman for a couple of years. Anyway, are they gonna be able to win a game in this series? Because I feel horrible about their goaltender situation.
The goaltending situation is not good. You're not wrong about that. It is very bad. I was actually going back and looking at some David Riddick highlights. I think it's probably going to be David Riddick tonight. And wow, it's such a different strategy.
Experience.
A different strategy in net with David Riddick in there than UC Saros. He is basically everything that UC Saros does well. Puck tracking, lateral movement, rebound control, all that stuff. Riddick is just completely off the charts. Like, you'd never know where the puck is going. I don't know if he always knows where the puck is. Not a great sense for your goaltender.
Nope.
But I do think the Predators have a chance to win at least a couple games. I've predicted. I think that maybe we wait for predictions later. But
spicy! That's a tease. Look at him doing sports radio.
I do think the Predators will win a game or two, and I think, but I don't necessarily think they're going to win the series. Colorado's just way too good. I think the money puck odds, I looked this morning, Colorado's chance to win the Stanley Cup is 14%, 14.5%, and the Predators' odds are 0.6%.
Take it.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Considerably not in the Predators' favor. It's a terrible matchup for a lot of reasons. There are some things I think they can exploit. There's some things that Colorado does so well that the Predators are just going to have to just take it. I mean, honestly, they're just going to have to watch the Avalanche do some things and then try to counter what they can do. I mean, there's a whole setup that the Avalanche have that the Predators just are not going to be able to stop.
And that's the ultimatum, right? Like, no matter how it gets done, no matter how hard they fight, and it will be they can make it competitive. They can make you feel a certain way about the way that they go about trying to win these games, their effort, their energy, their power play ability, their goal scoring ability, as long as that keeps up. I mean, there is some feel good to be found in this. I guess I struggle, and this is the sports skeptic in me. I got to let myself be more fan when it comes to sports that I don't cover, I guess. I don't get excited. I'm excited for playoff hockey. It's hard for me to get excited about a thing that I think is inevitable, a loss.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes. Here's why this might be different. Okay. First of all,
sell me.
And I've been on your show talking about this, and I think that part of the reason that people should get excited about this is because, look, the last few times that the Nashville Predators have been knocked out of the playoffs, the complaint has been that they've been pushed around, they've been bullied off the ice, they've been dominated physically. Yeah. That was true with Winnipeg, that was true with Dallas, that was true with Arizona even. That was somewhat true with Carolina, although they started fighting back at the end there. I do not think that is how they lose this series. They will not be bullied and pushed around. This team is the most physical Predators team that I think I've ever seen.
Tanner Jeannot's fist will them to a win.
Exactly. And so if that brand of hockey of just getting kind of pushed around and your team just doesn't even have any life because they're just being pushed around the whole time, you will not experience that. Now, you may end up watching a lot of goals go into the Nashville net, but they will not be because the Nashville Predators are getting pushed around. It's just because Colorado has so much more skill at every position. Well, I say every position. I mean, the Predators have plenty of skill too, but top to bottom, the Avalanche lineup is better.
Yeah.
So that's my point. If you want to see a team fight to their very end to try to beat another team, the Predators will give that to you. Tanner Jeannot, Mark Borowiecki, Luke Kunin, Nick Cousins, Matthias Ekholm, probably even Ryan Johansson, Philip Forsberg will all step up to the plate and go after someone on the Avalanche to try to get an inch of ice. So consider that. Just consider that.
Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports, their Preds writer, our Preds writer, is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Preds and Avalanche, 8:30 puck drop tonight. We will see how things play out. So the physicality of that is something nobody can dispute. Of this team all year long, they lead the league, lead the sport in penalties by a fairly wide margin because of their physicality. That is something that will obviously have a greater impact, be of greater detriment in a postseason series. I expect they understand that. I think that's common sense. But how much, can it be detrimental based on the behavior that we've seen? Because it doesn't just go away. Are they cognizant of that?
Yeah, they certainly seem to be. In the games that they've had against the Avalanche, by the way, they played 4 games against the Avalanche. You can throw one of them out the window because it was a COVID mishap that made the whole game basically not even really matter. But they beat the Avalanche 3 times this year. And in all those games, they played their game. They played their physical brand. They drew Mikko Rantanen to get in a fight. They drew someone like a JT Compher to get in a fight. They pulled guys out of their normal roles. I don't think Nathan McKinnon ever got in a fight or anything, but they've pulled guys from the Avalanche out of their normal roles. I will also mention, but in this entire series, the Avalanche have the player with the most playoff suspension history. That will be Nazem Kadri. Nazem Kadri has been suspended in the playoffs before. So it's only a matter of time before we get a Nazem Kadri moment. He goes after someone's head and he gets knocked out. He gets suspended for a game or 2. Keep that in mind because he's done that. And
it's a given, you're saying.
Yeah, it almost is. You can almost predict at some point in this playoffs, whether it's in the Predator series or beyond, Nazem Kadri is probably going to sit a game or 2 because of something he does. So they have that edge. They like to do that as well. I don't think that they're as good at that game as the Predators are, though. And I think that the Predators also have a nice mix of players. Okay, say Tanner Jeannot goes out there, roughs it up, and gets a penalty. He's not the only guy that can go do that in the next shift. Then Matthias Ekholm comes out there. Then Mark Borowiecki comes out there. Nick Cousins, Luke Kunin, all those guys. It's not just like they have one guy that goes out, our guy that is our bruiser is now in the penalty box for 2 minutes or longer. They've got other guys that can do that. So, meanwhile, they've got plenty of skill in Forsberg, Duchesne, Johansson, Granlund, who can make the other team pay on the penalty on the power play. A lot of people have talked about the Avalanche power play for good reason. They're very, very good. The Predators have a higher ranked power play in terms of success rate. Now, Avalanche have scored way more power play goals. They've gotten more power play chances, but the Predators have had fewer chances and fewer power play goals. But success rate, they're still good. Sixth compared to 7th in terms of the regular season. Nashville power play is not the terrible unit that it once was.
Roman Josi versus Cale Makar of the Avs. How excited are you to watch this matchup, two defensemen in the same series, and which one of those two guys ends up winning the Norris Trophy?
I've heard of Roman Josi. I don't know this other guy, but
oh, come on.
Stop.
Come on.
No, he's very good. All right, so I'm sorry, your question was which one comes out on top in this series?
Who wins the Norris Trophy?
Oh, the Norris Trophy, I think, goes to Josi.
You
At this
you
point,
think so?
Yes, I do.
Too much production.
Too much production. There was too much momentum going into it. Regardless of what happens in this series, I think it will go to Josi. He's been too important for the Predators. I do think that it is all about the points. I think some people will look at the plus minus, which is a garbage stat, and think that means a lot. It really doesn't. You could look at plus minus. Plus minus is not the thing that determines Norris Trophy. It's usually points. So I think he'll get it. Yeah.
Now you've said before, Alex Daugherty, A to Z Sports, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. We're breaking down Preds Avalanche Game 1 tonight at 8:30. You've said before that the difference between NHL postseason awards and every other major sport is that most of the time in every other major sport, you know who's going to win. Now you've said you seem to be fairly definitive about the Roman Josi thing, but it's not like he hasn't been robbed before.
Yeah, I mean, the last time he won it was it was in the COVID shortened year. I almost think that you can almost throw that one out and consider this his first real award. And I think that a lot of times with the Norris, it becomes a whose turn is it kind of thing. Cale Makar is like 21, 22 years old. He's going to win at least another. He's going to win one in his lifetime. He's got his chance. Roman Josi's. I think it's got to be his. I think he will come away with it.
So, by the way, the YouTube chat has just started firing off all manner of comments. Ryan Tannehill is going to be one of the players who speaks to the media today. Will carry that press conference in about 25 minutes from now. What are you laughing at?
That sounds great. That sounds like a lot of fun. I mean,
for who?
Ask him about what he thinks about Malik Willis. I think that's a good question. Right?
Yeah, well, that'll be something that he gets asked at noon today. We will carry that live on the air for you.
One thing I wanted to say about Cale Makar, though, to just say how good the Avs are. The real danger with this Avalanche team, and if you watch the game tonight, watch for this at 5-on-5 and at power play. The interchange that they have between Nathan MacKinnon in the middle, Cale Makar on the right side, and Devin Taves, the other defenseman on the left, is pretty much unstoppable. Think of like just an excellent pick and roll basketball team where you have to choose which player to guard and which one to follow on the pick and roll, and basically every time you mess up, or basically no matter which way you go, a bucket's getting scored. That's what happens with the Colorado Avalanche. If they choose to mark Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar can skate all around the defense and go score a goal. If they choose to shadow Cale Makar, Nathan MacKinnon can fire it from pretty much wherever. It's an incredibly dangerous combination. Roman Josi, however, does not really have that same interchange with the rest of the team. He just kind of does everything all the time. He's always skating without the puck. He's skating with it and entering the zone, exiting the zone. Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar and Devin Taves, that is the threesome that you got to watch for. By the way, also, Gabriel Landeskog is apparently going to play. He's been out for a few weeks. He's going to play tonight, so now they just get even more firepower. Ooh, it's a tough matchup. Matt
Duchene gets a shot at the Avalanche for the first time since he asked out. How much of it's obviously a storyline. Has he publicly acknowledged Reising the moment? I don't know what your guys' media availability is like with these guys right now. I don't know how that works for y'all.
Yeah, we get media availability at practice every day.
In person?
And then post game. Yeah. I mean, I didn't go to Denver, but yeah.
Sure.
So Duchene has been extremely hockey guy in his answers with regarding that question, meaning a boring. I had great years here. It was wonderful. I have a lot of friends here, but
I listened to a press conference about that yesterday. As a matter of fact,
but I've moved on, and now I'm in Nashville, and I really like it here. I like my situation here. So there's been no spice at all.
Yeah.
But on the ice, there's been some spice. So like, there's definitely some guys. I think there's some hard feelings maybe between him and some of the old guys that are there. Obviously, none of the new guys, but someone like a Landeskog who he played with, and there's been Eric Johnson was there when he was there. I mean, there's probably not a ton of that, but there's definitely some. And also, I think that the Avalanche they're like, let your success be your own revenge. Like they obviously have an incredible team. They're probably going to go to the Stanley Cup final this year at least. I don't think that they're going to really spend too much time talking about it. However, Matt Duchene goes out, hat trick, scores 3 or 4 goals in the series. Predators win the series. There's going to be a lot of Denver fans who are going to be extremely upset about that because of what could have been if Matt Duchene had stayed.
We root for upset sports fans. Those are the most fun kind of sports fans on a regular basis. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in on the conversation. Alex Daugherty of A to Z Sports. By the way, you can read him at A2ZSports.com. He has his Game 1 preview up and available. As he mentioned, the ideal lineup for Game 1 against the Avalanche. And you have plenty of time to do it because it's an 8:30 puck drop.
I just wanted to clarify if I can for a moment about.
Please.
So I had a report about UC Soros that basically that the injury that he suffered was a high ankle sprain. I'm very confident in that report. I feel very confident that that's the injury. The thing with timelines, though, you got to keep in mind, like timelines for injuries in any sport, as you probably know, are tough to nail down. I mean, we had the Derrick Henry thing where it was like, is he out for the year? Is he out for months?
I haven't gotten a timeline in 4 years. It's been a long time since I've got the traffic and timeline.
I believe that one was 6 to 10 weeks.
That's right.
Okay, and then I don't know what it ended up being, but I don't think it was that, right?
It was like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it was right in there. All right, so my
pretty good.
So my timeline,
pretty good.
Give that big of a range, it's going to happen.
The timeline that I threw out for the Soros injury was based on just basically like, what medical journals say. I mean, like the average hockey player comes back from a high ankle sprain in 21 days.
Okay.
So 3 weeks. It could be less than that. I mean, it might be a mild sprain. It might be a severe sprain. He's out for 8 weeks. I mean, so anyways, I just wanted to clarify. A lot of people are like, well, he might come back. They only said 2 games, first 2 games. So far, he's missed 4 games, and he's only missed, 8 days, 7 days, I guess. I still feel confident that's the injury. He could come back earlier. I think if the Predators have any chance to do anything in the playoffs, they need UC Soros back. But anyways, I just wanted to clarify. The 4 to 6 week thing is just guess, pure guess on that, but the injury I think is accurate. So
very good, Alex Daugherty. A2ZSports.com is where you can go. We appreciate you hanging out, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. Are you going to stay up and watch this tonight?
I am going to have it on the television while I'll be on the air. I'll be doing prime time.
Yeah, if he doesn't, he'll lie about it tomorrow.
Okay, there we go.
Whoa! You know how you'll know whether I watch it or not tomorrow on the air? How soon we do the Panzeca Preds Minute.
Okay.
It's a very useful crutch for when I can't stay up for West Coast games.
There we go.
Okay. So, Ryan Tannehill going to speak to the media. Spicy, spicy stuff. We'll talk about it coming up next. All right. People are fired up. Ryan Tannehill's going to speak to the media. We're going to carry it for you live 15 minutes from now. Don't miss it. We got a lot to hear from Ryan Tannehill. I'm quite certain. Betting odds on who asks the first Celsius question. Do we have it?
Ooh.
A betting favorite to ask the first Celsius question.
I mean, who do you think?
Oh, that's a good one because I also think that the vast majority of us being Titans media, think it to be dumb. Like any kind of reaction about that thing, just stupid.
Right. So why bring it up? Because you know what the answer is going to be.
Sure, but then you have the quote. What if Ryan Tannehill says the thing? Yeah, I saw they traded, or I heard they were going to trade AJ, so I decided to get drunk and go fishing on my boat.
Like, what answer could possibly be interesting from that question?
Well, Celsius doesn't have alcohol in it, does it?
No, it's an energy drink.
Oh, it's ignorance on my part. I've had ones. I stole one of Slay's.
You drank it on the air on Friday.
I stole one of Slay's Celsiuses. That's right.
Just drink things willy-nilly with no idea if they have alcohol in them or not?
I was hoping that it had alcohol in it. I love Blaine and I think it was Keith Bullock that particular day. But yes, it would be vastly more enjoyable. No offense if I was drinking. Any of this would be more enjoyable if I was drinking. But perhaps that speaks to an addiction problem. Anyway, what do you want to hear from Ryan Tannehill? 615-737-1045. What questions do you want asked that have not yet been answered? Obviously, the circumstances changed. We have not spoken to the quarterback since A.J. Brown was traded and since they drafted Malik Willis. The last time that we spoke to him in a public setting, other than, a sponsored Q&A with his wife, getting ready to prepare for Mother's Day, hashtag ad. The last time that we spoke to Ryan Tannehill was after the Cincinnati Bengals game. A little shook up. Now, people made, I can't remember. I think Jason had a bit about this on the morning show that he didn't speak at locker room cleanout day. Who cares? He never speaks at locker room cleanout day.
AJ is the only one that did on that offense.
Yeah.
Right?
The rest were defensive players. That's correct. So, Lonzo says, I want him to bury AJ. Traitor. Wouldn't that be great? Listen, we're a perfect 2 for 2 on off-season storylines to carry us into the sun. We had the A.J. Brown trade, which, of course, media gold. Shower me in it. Not a golden shower, but you understand my point. Phrasing. And then they drafted a quarterback. My God. Everything that I asked for on Thursday before the draft was gifted to me on a silver platter. Bless them for all that they've done to make our lives easier in the content business. But yeah, if Tannehill was to publicly kneecap A.J. Brown, sure, that'd be great.
Tato says he wants to see Tannehill apologize to the entire city of Nashville.
I mean, if he wasn't going to do it after the playoff game, well, I think he did shoulder responsibility. Honestly, he seemed a little shook up. I mean,
everybody was.
It was pretty jarring. Pretty jarring to see. Now, Shane Miles says he wants to hear his retirement speech today. I can't imagine that would happen. I wouldn't get your hopes up. Though he's the second oldest quarterback in the AFC at only 33 years old. It's going to be, unless Ryan Tannehill does the unthinkable and has a public meltdown, which I do not expect to happen.
No.
Because if he survived the Miami situation without ever saying anything interesting, ever, then I don't expect this to be any kind of seismic shift in Tannehill commentary. People want to hear from him, though. People want to know why he wasn't there for the first day. People want to know what he's done or what he's going to do to fix whatever he did in the last game of the regular season. Zero bearing on what happens in September today, what he says.
Titans fans are watching this presser today like a disappointed mom with both hands on hips, one hip like popped out. What do you have to say for yourself, Ryan? And they're going to be very disappointed by it. Like a look in their eye.
Here's the thing. Nobody's going to be happy with what he says today. I'll tell you why. Because nobody at that press conference, and people will make this in an indictment of Titans media. Obviously, I'm not there because we're hosting the radio show, so we're going to carry that live for you. But the indictment of Titans media, or Nashville media in general, small market, softball questions. I think we get a good bit of that collectively. I'm not speaking to individuals. I'm speaking collectively. I think that people assign that label to the Tennessee Titans or the Nashville Media Corps. Preds get this too. So with all that being said, I think that the Tannehill circumstance is I think this press conference is going to go off with Titans fans still being pissed about it because he's not going to say anything. And the people who are tasked with asking him questions, nobody's going to be emotional about. Nobody's going to be asking a pissed off question of Ryan Tannehill today. And you'll scream and you'll shout and you'll pout about it. And the reality of the situation is there's not a bunch of Titans fans in there asking questions. There's not a bunch of pissed off Titans fans in there. I mean, Jimmy Wyatt is the team employee. Jimmy Wyatt is not going to ask him anything hugely inflammatory in his current role because, it's not what happens. Fine, whatever. I'm not mad at Jimmy about that. I think everybody gets that at this point with Jim and what has been the expectation in his previous life and what is now his role with the organization. There will be questions asked like, hey, why did you think it was not in your best interest to show up on day one? And when he gives a coach speak quarterback answer, we're going to move on to the next question. That, I think, is the biggest disconnect between fans who want answers and the reporters who are there, the media who are there to ask the questions. You want blood. I get it. Nobody's faulting you for that today. Nobody's faulted you for that after the playoff game, after that just dreadful Saturday evening that I'm sure many of you experienced. But what you look at in this circumstance is, yeah, it's just gonna be another Tannehill press conference. And how you feel about it is not, what happens today is not going to change the way that you feel about Ryan Tannehill. Of that, I'm certain. If you have passionate feelings about him one way and you're angry, you're still going to be angry at Ryan Tannehill in 20 minutes from now. If you are somebody who is supporting him because you know you need him, as the football team knows they need him this year, then you are going to be supportive of what Ryan Tannehill has to say today. It's basically politics in a nutshell. Sports is a microcosm for society. If you didn't like the candidate, it's election day. It's election day in Middle Tennessee. If you didn't like the candidate before, you're not going to like him after, he or she, whatever. That's what I expect from Ryan Tannehill today. And everybody will bitch and moan about everything that he doesn't say, and life will go on, and we'll do the next press conference. Such is life in sports media. Ryan Tannehill speaks to the media coming up next.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. It is phase 2 of the Titans 2022 offseason program, and quarterback Ryan Tannehill, one of select players that is set to speak to media here in just a few moments. You can hear that presser live right here on the Buck Reising Show in a few minutes. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Deandre Hopkins has been suspended 6 games for violating the NFL's performance-enhancing drug policy. Hopkins said on social media he was, quote, confused and shocked by the suspension. Stanley Cup playoffs are underway, and the Nashville Predators start their run tonight at the Avalanche, an 8:30 puck drop. Head coach John Hines said yesterday that goaltender UC Saros will miss the first 2 games of the series. An NBA Conference Semifinals, the Memphis Grizzlies play Game 2 against the Golden State Warriors tonight at 8:30 after falling in a thriller at home in Game 1 on Friday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once, and your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome in to hour number 3 on 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back if you've been hanging with us so far. Shane Miles says we won't hear the whole presser because Buck likes to hear himself talk too much. Hey, Shane, sit and spin. Sorry to disappoint. Nick Westbrook-Aquino is currently first up at the podium. Ryan Tannehill expected to speak later on. Quit your whining. You'll get to it here in just a second. In the meantime, 615-737-1045 is the number. If you want to jump in on our conversation today, I'm watching the live-streamed Twitter version of the presser. Somebody has just put in the comment section, who the hell is this? Poor NWI. That's wide receiver 1. What's wrong? 615-737-1045. NWI is stating how shocked he was that A.J. Brown was traded away, and that's what every Titans player will be asked about today. When Tannehill is at the podium, we'll run it for you. In the meantime, we're happy to take your calls on this. What do you want to hear from your quarterback today? Alexander is in Nashville, starts us off this afternoon. Hello, Alexander.
Hey, guys. It's a pleasure. Lifetime listener, first-time caller. And I just want to say that I'm excited about this feeling. We were gifted everything that we needed in this draft, but I think that we're going to get our best version of Ryan Tannehill because he has someone to look over his shoulder for, and we have someone being groomed to be the next guy. So I believe that his decision-making will be corrected more so, and that's all I'm on because I feel like he has a lot of potential. And also, I just want to add in hog hunting might be the new gangster. Traylon Burks, I'm excited about him too. And thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks for the call, Alexander. 615-737-1045. What do you want to hear from Ryan Tannehill today? Well, here's the thing. Because we're going to do a much greater deep dive on Malik Willis tomorrow when our buddy Mike Felder of Stadium joins us, and we'll do some X's and O's prospect talk. He was on Bleacher Report's draft coverage, and he did a really, really great job with it. But Malik Willis is entering the perfect situation, and I think it's a win-win for you because if you find your quarterback of the future, great. If Ryan Tannehill pushes himself and feels the pressure of a rookie quarterback, hugely talented, coming in behind him, even better. Mike Keith and I talked about this yesterday. The voice of the Titans was in the studio with us, and we discussed the Malik Willis selection for exactly that reason and what it means for Ryan Tannehill. And I had said, Mike, on Friday, after the A.J. situation, that if there was not a quarterback good enough to be drafted at 26, I'd prefer them to just address as many of those holes that still remained on offense as humanly possible. I never thought that dude would be there at 86.
Ever.
He is such an interesting prospect because I don't think he has to be the future of quarterback for that to be a good decision because the value and the upside, that is difficult to match, even if this was a down bad quarterback class. What did you think of the selection?
I loved it. I loved it because this is a guy with the traits. I don't know if he ever plays it down.
No.
I'm not a quarterback expert, but I think for the risk, this is a phenomenally great risk because of what the gifts of this young man are. He was clearly the most gifted of anybody in this class. And the fact that he's going to play in an offense that runs the football. And he's going to play on a football team that plays defense. So this is not a guy that's going to be asked as he learns this thing to throw 60 times a game and have everything on him.
He's not Trevor Lawrence.
He's not Trevor Lawrence. That's exactly right. He's got a lot of people on offense to be able to help him. He's got Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator. He's got Pat O'Hara, who is an outstanding quarterback coach. He's got Tim Kelly, who's going to help him coordinate the passing game. And he's got Ryan Tannehill in a room with him. And he's got Logan Woodside in a room with him. And so all of these things are set up for him to have the best chance to be successful. And that's all you can ask. So
that's Mike Keith. Full interview available in our podcast, wherever it is that you get your podcasts, talking about Malik Willis and the situation that he's entering it. That would be my biggest question for Ryan Tannehill today, if I was able to attend the press conference in person. What is your plan to support Malik Willis? It's a fair question because technically, and what he says publicly will depend on public opinion of him, but remember when Joe Flacco was the incumbent quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens? Ravens drafted Lamar Jackson, traded back into the first round to take him 32nd overall. And Joe Flacco got up at the podium when he was asked. He still started that season, Lamar's rookie year, I think, until Flacco, I believe, got hurt. But in preseason and offseason stuff, Flacco was talking about, it's my job to win the job. I'm not here to hold his hand. And that is, now, Flacco, I think, is more publicly honest about that than most quarterbacks would be. But should Ryan Tannehill have the same approach, it would not be uncommon. I would not fault him for that. If it pushes himself, if it pushes Tannehill to be the best version of himself, would it be nice, just as far as humanity is concerned, to support the rookie quarterback coming in? Sure. Is it required of a player in that position? No, not by any stretch of the imagination. Aaron Rodgers, do you think he was supportive or supported by Brett Favre?
No. I mean, it's known he wasn't.
Exactly. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers has been terribly supportive of Jordan Love?
Not exactly.
Tom Brady didn't want to support Jimmy Garoppolo. In fact, he got his ass shipped off to the 49ers. It would be entirely explicable if Ryan Tannehill was like, yeah, I'm here to do my thing. Let him do his.
Now, you have an Alex Smith situation, which is different.
Sure. And there's plenty of those. Alex Smith is very highly regarded across the league for that very reason. But as far as Ryan Tannehill is concerned, I don't know what I expect. I want him to ask that question. And I would like to, I'm sure somebody will ask him something about Malik Willis, but whether he intends to support him behind the scenes, a different matter entirely. Connor in Murfreesboro is up next as we await Ryan Tannehill on the podium. Hello, Connor.
How's it going, Buck?
Going well, thank you.
I tell you what I don't want to hear from Ryan Tannehill, anything about A.J. Brown. The dude obviously didn't want to be there anymore.
Now, he's going to be asked, though, Connor. That's not fair.
I mean, I know that. I'm just tired of everybody getting up there and the first thing everybody asks is about A.J. Why can we not just move on?
Well, it's not that simple. And we're going to play some of the A.J. Brown press conference later on. Thank you for the call, 615-737-1045. Here's why. Because, and I don't want to give away my whole spiel, what I've got for you guys after we hear from Tannehill. But my position on why these guys are asked about A.J. Brown, they need to be. This is a substantial trade. I want to know how Nick Westbrook-Akina feels. I want to know how that locker room is going to manage. Of course, they are professionals. This is the expectation of NFL players. Roster turnover is a thing each and every year, no matter if it's your best player or a guy who's last on the depth chart. But Ryan Tannehill, it would seem, Lucas, he's on the podium on my end. Is he on the podium on yours? Okay, I'll wait for Lucas to catch up a little bit because Ryan Tannehill on my screen is currently speaking to the media. So it would be curious to hear his thoughts and opinions on all of these things. A.J. Brown, Malik Willis, how this helps him elevate his game. And we'll do that right now.
Finishing up a renovation in Florida, and it felt like the best thing for me to mentally and physically prepare was spend a couple extra weeks with my family, and then started phase 2 here to work with the guys on the field.
Do you think there's a leadership element to the starting quarterback being here, or do you think it doesn't matter?
I think that it's important to get on the same page with the guys, and that's what the spring is for, to reinforce the details and the fundamentals that this organization is built on. And we got plenty of time, a lot of time to be able to do that. We're able to kind of slow things down at this time of the year and focus on the details. We're doing that right now in the meeting room, on the field, translating it from the meeting room to the field, able to talk through the details on all the reps with the receivers. So we're getting some really good work in right now, and thankful to be here and have the time to do it.
Did you consider optics at all when you're sending out social media stuff from the boat, or up to 20 questions while guys are here together?
Yeah, I'm working. Just because I was at home doesn't mean I was relaxing. I'm working. I'm throwing. I'm running. I'm getting myself mentally and physically ready to go. I'm having conversations with Todd, making sure I'm on top of all the information that the guys are getting. We've been through it the past couple of years of no off season, of kind of a shorter off season last year where I was just here for OTAs, and I've kind of figured out that one size doesn't fit all for the off-season program, and I kind of know what I need to do mentally and physically to get myself in the best position to go in with a full head of steam into August and training camp and into the season, and that's what I do.
How much social media parts off-putting the fans, and last time they saw you was the Cincinnati game?
I mean, that's them. Let them be the judge. I don't post a whole lot on social media. Some of the stuff that I did post was taken in March and April and just put it up in that time. So wasn't, I think you may be referring to a Celsius post that I was on the boat. That was taken in March. I wasn't even on the boat last week. So I think you read too much into that, and you can read it how you want. But at the end of the day, I know I'm doing whatever I need to do to get myself ready to go. And communicating, get on the same page with my teammates, and get us all ready to go and win games in the fall.
How much does the playoff loss still linger with you and bother you? And do you, listen to any of the things that are said, in terms of people wanting to put the blame on you for that loss?
It's a scar. It's a deep scar. It was a lot of sleepless nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I was rewatching the game in my head. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep for weeks and weeks after the game. Was in a dark place, and it took me a while and a lot of work to get out of it. It wasn't something that went away easily, and it's still a scar that I'll carry with me, throughout the rest of my life. But just like a cut on your arm, starts off as a wound. You're able to heal from it. And it turns into a scar. It never leaves you, but it's always there, and it can remind you. And now it's fuel for me. It's fuel for me to work and get ready with a passion and come into this season with a fire and a desire to win like I've never had before.
What's your reaction to losing AJ, who was your top target for the last 3 years?
That one hurt. Obviously, professionally it hurt. Top target, heck of a football player, made big plays for us consistently over the last 3 years. Personally, it hurt. AJ's a good friend. Have a lot of great times, great memories on and off the field with him. Just not being able to see him on a daily basis it's going to be different. It's going to be hard. Happy to see him, get what he wanted, but at the end of the day, it hurts, and it hurts.
Where it was heading?
Do what?
Did you know that's where the relationship between the two sides was heading? I mean, you're close.
Yeah, I was in communication with AJ, kind of throughout the whole offseason, and honestly, I thought they were going to get it done. I thought it was, everyone trying to play their leverage. It's part of the game. Everyone's trying to get the best deal. The team's trying to do the best thing for the team, and the player's trying to do the best thing for the player. And just in my heart, I thought we were going to have AJ here for a long time. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. We had to do what had to be done, but it doesn't take the sting away. I think I was shocked. When I first found out, I'm like, this isn't real. This isn't happening. It's a rumor. And then talked to AJ, found out it was real, and slept terrible that night, and kept thinking like it's just a bad dream. But that's where we're at.
Super Bowl contender without him?
Yeah, no doubt. I think we can be. Obviously, every year is a new journey. It's a new opportunity to build a new team. We're adding new pieces. I'm excited about Traylon, a guy who has a lot of traits and characteristics that I think fit our team well. Had some great conversations with him, and excited to add him to the mix. I don't think we can mix the two of losing AJ and the pain. Let that take away anything that Traylon brings to the table. And I told Traylon that. I was tight with AJ. I am tight with AJ. Gonna miss him, but I'm also excited to add Traylon and what he brings. I think he has a lot of things, like I said, that can help us. And it's just a matter of getting him up to speed and getting on the same page. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of effort from everyone involved, myself, coaching staff, Traylon, and all the rookies. It's not just Traylon. It's a bunch of guys we've added, and it's every year. It takes a lot of effort, intentionality, and time. But if we do it right, we'll be able to build a team and go win games in the fall.
Did you first talk to Traylon, and do you see like similarities between his game and AJ's game, like yards after the catch, etc.?
Yeah, I texted Traylon the night of the draft. Didn't hear back from him. Ended up calling him the next day and having a conversation with him, or Sunday maybe, and Saturday having a conversation with him. I think obviously he's big, he's strong, he's tough, he's physical. Just talking to him, he's excited, he wants to work. And that's kind of what this team, this organization is built upon, is we're going to work hard, we're going to have a specific mindset and take that to the field every time we touch it. So I think he kind of initially fits what we're looking for. Only time will tell if we can really, get his best out of him and if he's going to come in and make the impact we think he can.
And did that come as a surprise to you? And what have your conversations been like with John and Mike and I guess even Malik since then?
Yeah, I texted Malik right after we drafted him as well. I wasn't informed of that beforehand, but same thing with AJ, right? The team's going to do the best thing that they think is best interest of the team, and I have no problems with Malik, and we're looking to add talent and guys that can help us. So, we'll add them to the room and go from there.
You mentioned being in a dark place after the Bengals game. What did it take to get out of that, or do you feel like you're still maybe in that dark place?
No, I've kind of worked through it. Like I said, it's a scar that sticks with me, but. Therapy, talking to people, time, all of the above. It was tough. It was tough. It was not a situation you want to be in. You prepare so long and so hard to put yourself in the position to go chase your dreams and to go out and play beneath the standard that I have for myself. It stung, hurt, and. Like I said, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of reflecting, rewatching the game over and over in my head. It took a lot of work to get through it. It wasn't a day, it wasn't a week, it was weeks and weeks and weeks to get through it. A lot of sessions, and at this point, I can look back at it, recognize it for what it was, and learn from it, and move on.
Has therapy been something you've done before, Ryan, or was that new after this?
No, I've been doing that. For a little while now, but definitely, I think this is the first time that I absolutely needed it to pull me out of a dark space.
Back with the team, working out, how much will that also help the healing process, putting in those reps, getting back to work in that routine? How much are you looking forward to that, and also kind of helping towards that healing process altogether?
Yeah, no doubt. I think, as the offseason kind of went on and I started to get through those things, then we kind of go through free agency and start to get that spark back, start to get that excitement, that energy back. Then obviously being here this week and being in the building, being around the guys, being on the field, able to talk through. We have so many guys that are working hard and trying to absorb as much information as they can. So being able to coach them on the field and go through these reps has really been really good for me and I think all of us. So yeah, just carrying that spark with me, that fire with me, that I can think back to that scar that I got in January and carry that fire with me forward.
You talked to Robert Woods, and what's a guy like that, him and Austin Hooper both bring to the team?
Yeah, really excited about Robert, man. He's just a good dude, obviously a talented player, veteran player. He's played a lot of football, knows the game really well. You talk to him and you can just feel his passion, his energy. Excited to leave this and go watch tape with him, after this session here. So a guy I'm looking forward to get to know even better, but I think he fits what we're all about here, and a guy who wants to make an impact for us.
Why was your 21 season not as good as your 20 or 19 season?
I think a lot of good and a lot of bad, and a lot of things went into it. It wasn't one thing or another. We broke down all the turnovers and what led to those, and it wasn't any one specific area that really jumped up. It was just a little bit here, then you add the sum and you get the big growth. So just taking a step back and reevaluating those things and seeing where I can improve upon going forward.
Tim Kelly, and how much have you gotten to know him, and what do you expect him to bring to the passing game?
Yeah, I just met him yesterday. Been on the field with him a couple of days now. Obviously a veteran coach. He's been around, knows the game really well. You can see his coaching heart out there. He's very involved in what we're doing. So, excited to have him on board. Anytime you can add a good quality coach, it's going to help you. So we'll get to know him better as the year goes on. But excited to have a veteran coach who knows the game and is going to help us.
To tweak, or you just kind of start the process?
Yeah, we're just starting the process. We're early on. I'm second day here, so I'll get to know him better as the off season goes on, the year goes on. But like I said, excited to have another veteran coach on board.
Ryan, what would you say to those who think you're not the quarterback to lead this team to a Super Bowl?
I mean, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I have the utmost confidence in myself, and know I have everything it takes. So I know I'm going to come this year with a fire and a passion, like I've talked about, and attack this season, and know that I have to go play my best football in January. So like I said, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I have the utmost confidence in myself. I think my teammates have confidence in me, and so at the end of the day, that's all that matters to me.
Obviously, you negotiated everything you could, your reps did, and the restructure, though, puts you with the highest cap number in the league, which is one of the things that kind of handcuffs things like signing A.J. Brown. Is that kind of a complicated thing to be in the middle of financially?
I mean, that was done last year, and the deal was done 3 years ago at this point. So, I don't overthink that type of thing. It kind of is what it is. You look around the league and every guy is trying to do what's best for him, and every team's trying to do what's best for him. So, I don't overthink that. No.
That's Ryan Tannehill, Titans quarterback, at the podium today. 615-737-1045. React to anything that you just heard from the Titans starting quarterback on being in a dark place, on having to go to therapy, on having done therapy for a period of time prior to what happened in January, but needing it to pull himself out of it, in his own words. And for those of you who want to talk about a scheduled social media post and a picture that was taken in March, politely sit and spin.
The Buck Reising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Go to springhillac.com.
Well, then, how about that from Ryan Tannehill? Christian Fulton currently speaking with the media after the quarterback wrapped up. A lot there to dissect, a lot there of great interest, and we're taking your reaction to it. 615-737-1045. Here's the thing, okay? Mental health is something that comes up in sports a hell of a lot more than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. I mean, hell, 5 years ago, right? Where Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, is talking about how publicly unhappy his players are because of how much time they spend on social media. So the mental health stuff has taken on a more significant storyline. I don't know if you care whether Ryan Tannehill was in therapy before. I don't know if you care that Ryan Tannehill needed therapy to pull himself out of whatever headspace he was in. Because turns out, as bad as you felt about that and how that ended your season, did anybody talk to Ryan Tannehill until today about how it felt to him? You may not care about that. This is football. Grunt, drool, hand in the dirt, go win. That's all that matters. Out of here with your mental health. There's always going to be a contingent of the audience that feels that way. I can't do anything to change that. I just ask you to consider a different standpoint than your own. If you choose not to, it's entirely your choice. However you want to consume this stuff, that's on you. But to completely ignore the existence of mental health with professional athletes, especially in football, when the brain is something that regularly comes up as far as injuries are concerned in that sport. I would not be so quick to dismiss that. I'm glad that he shared it. That's the first time we've heard that. I don't know if he felt compelled to, but I'm glad that he did. 615-737-1045 is how you get involved. Jack is in East Nashville up first. What's up, Jack?
Well, I'll tell you how I feel about it.
Please do.
Blaine and other guys mentioned the 3 A's: attitude, ability, and availability. He went through a tough season, as anybody does in the NFL. And in the middle, with all those injuries, he loses Derrick Henry. You got two of the best wide receivers in the world that suddenly become part-time employees. Gets us all the way to where the point is we're going to play 2 games at home, after everything they went through, and then go to the Super Bowl. And then when he finally does have a bad game, boy, is it at the wrong time. But, you know, it's the NFL, and that stuff happens. That man got us that far. When things didn't go bad, you didn't see him throwing things and acting like the world's biggest 12-year-old like Tom Brady. Class act all the way around. And for how universally he's been reviled since then, if I'd have been him, I'd have been on a 3 months drunk in a cheap hotel down in Gulf Shores. You know, so I think people have really looked at this really wrong, that the Titans weren't moved to throw him over the side the first chance they got, you know, contract issues or not, and have finally decided to invest in smartening up their offense now that the defense seems to have come along.
Jack, we do appreciate the call. It was a great one. But the music means that that's exceeded the 60-second limit that we have for callers on this show, just to keep things moving, because this is going to be a popular topic. But a really, really good call. Great insight there from Jack. It's, you know, it's the easiest thing in the world, and I'm sure he had more important points on that. I'd be drunk at a hotel, too. Talk over the music, says Nick Ewing. He was fighting. He was fighting to the last.
Which I respect.
It's a good call. I think the music has no exceptions. We are beholden to the music. It's the one rule that we have on the show. But all of his points well made, Jack in East Nashville. It's a lot. Players go through a lot any given season. People don't care. They play fantasy football. They go on. Did you win? No. Did you not? Okay. Why? It's a lot. It's a lot to ask people to process, by the way. It is. You can see both sides of things. Right, wrong, or indifferent. For people who do not have a lot of money to spend, but do place a significant amount of their disposable income in attending a Titans game, attending a playoff game. I'm sure there are plenty of people who saved up their money, hard-earned, to go out and watch the Tennessee Titans as a number 1 overall seed host potentially 2 playoff games. And to have it end in 3 interceptions, I'm sure a lot of people, that rubbed them a wrong way. I know it did. We sat there and took calls on it. But the degree of humanity that's lost in sports is my least favorite thing about sports. The commoditization, if that's the proper grammar, of athletes is my least favorite thing about sports. The fact that the draft is as big it's a football party, right? But also it's a livestock show, livestock auction crossed with a beauty pageant. And it feels very, very, detached from humanity to treat these guys who are coming up the way that they did. Now, this is a part of the process, whatever. But I do think that it makes people think of them as less than human, as less human than you or I. Doesn't matter if you don't win the game. And that's the bottom line in sports, which is a pretty zero-sum way to do the analysis. But, this is what has been the part of the business for forever now. Phil in Clarksville is next. Hello, Phil.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
The one thing I want to go back to is it was Ryan Tannehill being inserted into the quarterback role that absolutely turned this franchise around and has made us one of the favorites in the league. And I thought that press conference just now was flawless. I thought it kind of speaks to the character, the man he is, the intelligence he has. The way he handled himself just then, I thought was perfect, and I still believe that he's the perfect quarterback for our team.
Thanks for the call, Phil. 615-737-1045. I maintained that position since, I haven't had the radio show since he took over the starting quarterback job. But he saved the franchise from having to reboot completely after Marcus. Because that was very, very much in the future. Now, John Robinson did well to make sure that that wasn't the case, but we had no idea that Tannehill was going to pan out in 19 and 20 the way that he did. And frankly, to continue to pan out in 2021, being one of the most reliable things that you had in a hugely unreliable season. So, people have their opinions. Again, I think that winning the press conference is one thing, the performance is another. And for those people who felt poorly about Ryan Tannehill prior to the press conference, they probably don't feel much different afterwards. For those of you who feel that he has pulled his weight as a part of the organization to this point and ending in super dramatic fashion, you're probably entrenched in that position after that press conference. That's how these things go. So, what we have for you is we will do last call for phone calls. We will do some poll questions. And we will wrap up our day. But Blaine and Mickey 3HL, they're going to continue the reaction to that. You'll hear from Ryan Tannehill's press conference if you did not catch the live edition of it that we ran. But we will do all of those things, your phone calls included, coming up next. Okay. Phone calls is the objective. Ryan Tannehill speaking to the media. You want to react. Do some polls here in just a second. Let's start with Bo, who's in Nashville. Lead us off this segment. What's up, Bo?
What up, bro?
What you got?
Man, when Ryan was just talking about he went to go see a therapist, just brought me back to Sopranos when everybody found out Tony was seeing a therapist and how they felt about him and how his mom said, he's seeing a therapist. Yeah. Like, I mean, that just made me think, just show a little sign of weakness. That's all I had, bro.
Is that sign of weakness? I go to therapy. I mean, what's wrong with that? Sign of weakness to whom? I don't think less of him at all. In fact, I think it's commendable. I think it's admirable. Now, there's an old school opinion on this versus new school. I don't know if we're just too prisoner of our demographic here, but I go to therapy. I need it. Are you kidding me? Have you heard some of your guys' calls? I love you, but damn. At some point, I want to talk about something other than sports. We all got problems, right? We all got real life things that go on day to day that cause us legitimate detriment. If you're not somebody who believes in getting help for that, that's unfortunate. It's not for everybody either. That's okay. But to say it's a sign of weakness, I mean, like, I feel like we're not cavemen anymore.
Yeah, I think we should be past that.
We can advance as a society, I believe. Tim in Nashville is up next. Hello, Tim.
What up, Buck? Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Bro, it's not a sign of weakness, but don't nobody care, bro. Win the game.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop throwing 3 picks. Win the game. If you can't win a playoff game, get the hell out, bro. All right, I'll holler at you, Buck. Appreciate it, bro.
Hey, appreciate the call. Listen, that's going to be again, I say, if you felt that way before, you feel that way after. If you felt a different way before, you feel the same after. All this is going to serve is to entrench people more in the opinion that Ryan Tannehill is or is not the guy. Now, he can only answer the questions that he's asked. So, Ryan Tannehill didn't volunteer that to anybody prior to being asked the question. He responded. You can't fault him for that. But could you care? Would it impact your opinion one way or the other? It doesn't have to. Personal opinion. You are more than entitled to those. Joseph is in Nashville up next. What's up, Joseph?
Hey, how you doing, man? First time caller, man.
Love that.
Yeah, this is the thing that I noticed, I mean, with Tannehill is that, I mean, I'm not a Titans fan, but a football fan. But, I mean, you getting paid to do what you have to do. Now, if he's going through what he goes through, he needs off-the-field help. Hey, more power to him. But the energy and sympathy and empathy that he's getting, I don't believe other players would get that. So, I mean,
AJ did, didn't
he?
Did AJ not get that when he came out on Instagram and said he had suicidal thoughts?
No, I mean, the energy, the overall energy that AJ was getting was get him off the team. He's a bad player.
No, not when he had suicidal thoughts. Joseph,
I mean,
Joseph, there was a tremendous amount of outpouring across the board.
He may have. I'm not following y'all like that. But, I mean, let's keep the same energy for everybody. That's all I'm saying.
People did.
Yeah, that was never once, ever
You can't tell me that
AJ.
you're not following it when there's literally been an example in the last 5 months probably, of a player literally on this team receiving that kind of outreach and outpouring because of the nature of mental health. That's literally the exact same scenario. So, Joseph, come on. You got to be better than that. Is this Denise? Denise, up next on 104.5 The Zone. Hello, Denise.
Hey, Buck. How you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
I am the person that listens every day, and I don't call until I'm screaming at the radio. So
Excellent.
Today I had to call because I'm screaming at the radio. Absolutely not. It is not a sign of weakness that he needed to visit a therapist. I think we all need one from time to time in our lives. And AJ did get sympathy from the organization, from the fan base, from everybody. But what I would like to say is that I already feel a little bit better just by hearing him speak out. And would we have liked to have heard him sooner? Absolutely. But everybody has a process. And, I was in the stands that day, and I heard bad. for a long time after that loss. And I can only imagine how he took it, because we gave him shit for months. So anyway, just
Denise, you can't. Denise, you can't say that on the air. Oh, I'm glad we caught that.
Me too.
I hope we caught that. I appreciate your passion, Denise, but we are still, despite our best interest, at least this one of the four shows, we are still an FCC safe program, unless I slip up. And then there are different consequences. Thank you for the call, Denise. And I appreciate your passion, expletive or not. Gerardo will be the last call of the day. Seeing it. Well, I think we have time for a couple more. Gerard, we won't do polls today, Lucas. We'll punt on the polls. Go ahead, Gerardo.
Hey, man, you can't be too mad at Denise. That's just showing the passion. That's all it is. But,
well, listen, if I get a fine because of the passion, then I'm going to have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's all the story.
Yeah.
But, okay, so I just don't understand, man, your previous two calls before Denise, how that just goes to show you how small-minded people is. I personally have never needed therapy, so I can't say I can relate to it firsthand, but these same people that are judging as a massive sign of weakness, all this now, are the exact same people that were, if they were in Ryan's shoes. Granted, I'm not defending Ryan. I think, you know what you sign up for whenever you're the starting quarterback of an NFL team. Like, it's going to come. That comes with the territory. The pressure on that is one of the most scrutinized positions in any type of profession. But people forget, man, is society puts athletes on such pedestal that they make them seem like such superheroes where they're bulletproof. But man, these people are human beings. It always seems to just blow me away how out of touch people are as far as that reality, that people are people still, whether they're not they're under center for an NFL team. Like, they're gonna have their emotions and depression, whatever the outcome may be, but these same people that are judging, man, are the exact same people I would not be able to handle that situation being under center, man. It's just that always kind of throws me away, dude. But hey, real quick, the Dan Le Batard show influence on this show, I love it, man. I'm not mad at it. There's so many things that remind me of.
He was giving us praise, and you still hit him with the music?
Does Dan Le Batard fade out callers?
I don't. Well, they don't have callers. They're not on. They're not on radio anymore.
Rules are rules. I'm sorry. We do appreciate the call.
And, Gerardo, I get the show. So, yeah, there's Kornheiser and Dan and the crew. Those are the only two things that I've listened to daily. Oh, are you playing me out? What the hell is that?
Rules are rules. If there's no rules, we live in chaos.
What do you mean? I don't get played out on my own show? This is mutiny. This is anarchy. I guess I don't have a choice. It would be funnier if you faded it up over my voice, but I can't do everything for you. I can't. Blade and Mickey are next.